In the minivan, we've actually had raccoons crawl inside in the middle of the night. Hello friends, Kevin, your budget travel guy here, and on this cold wintry night, we're going to answer some of your questions. Okay, we have questions that have been sent to us, questions people have posted in comments of other videos that we want to elaborate on, basically questions from you. Now, my helper has jotted down some of these, and I actually don't know which one she has jotted down. So she's going to ask a question, and I'm going to do my best to answer it here on the fly. So let's go. Question number 1 is,
what kind of foods do you need to take with you when you're boondocking?
What kind of foods do you need to take with you when you're boondocking? You need to take whatever you actually like to eat, because you will be even more miserable if you're trying to survive on stuff that you don't like or don't want to eat. So basically what you enjoy, but you want to, like everything else, you want to kind of keep it simple. So in the big van with a generator or hooked into electricity, we actually have a microwave so we can do some cheap little dinners. Of course, lots of fruits. I'm a banana guy. A lot of rip open packs of tuna, things that are easy to refrigerate. If you're in the minivan, or easy to store in a cooler, you can, if you want to make sloppy joes or something that requires tacos, you can get the little pre-done canned meats that don't require refrigeration. We're going to do those in another video and kind of check out the quality of a couple of different brands of those and see how that goes. What else can you think to add as an answer to that?
Peanut butter, crackers, simple little things. You can make sandwiches like peanut butter and jelly if you like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, keep it simple. You're not going to, especially if you're by yourself, you're not really going to be doing a buffet. If you're dealing, and I see people that cook inside and the weather's bad, on little propane things, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to have that kind of mess. I don't want to have a lot of cleanup. If there's a couple of us and we're camped somewhere and we can invite the neighbors over next door, and you're doing enough, like tacos, you're doing enough for 3 or 4 people, then it's cool, and I don't mind having to spend 20 minutes, cleaning everything back up. Otherwise, we're going, if it's just me or if it's just the 2 of us, we're going to keep it a lot simpler. And by doing that, that means you may go a day or 2 without a hot meal. And it's not a matter of money, it's a matter of convenience. Again, it's trade-offs and whatever choice that you're comfortable with for you. And it just requires some experimentation on your part to figure out, what that comfort level is going to be. All right. Question number 2.
Okay, what if you have battery problems and you're nowhere near a Walmart or Advanced Auto? What can you do to kind of help with those kind of issues?
Well, first of all, it's good to carry a set of jumper cables. And there are people that will, and you really should have jumper cables in any vehicle you have, because if you do walk out, have a dead battery, you left your lights on, something like that happens, there are people that will stop and offer to help. But 90% of the time, those people don't have jumper cables either. If you had jumper cables with you, they would gladly help jump you off and get you going again. But even better than that is I like the little miniature battery packs like this. And those things work like a charm. I'll put a link down in the description of the video to the ones I use and keep in these vans. You wouldn't think a little battery pack this big could actually start a vehicle, but I have done it on both of these. And we did have this happen to us when we were in Arizona last year. There was a couple of times it was hot. I was running the fan at night. We were in the minivan. I kind of misjudged and run the fan a bit too long because we don't have a house battery in the minivan. We just have the main driving battery. And I kind of misjudged and took that battery down a little bit too low. So having that little booster jumper pack, and those things cost $50 or $60. Great investment to have with you. You just, turn it on, slap it on your battery post, start your vehicle. And it's, they're rechargeable with a wall charger. They're rechargeable through 12 volt, just driving down the road or running your laptop or something like that. So you can get 15 or 20 jumps off of one of these fully charged battery packs. I mean, it's just amazing. They work. Now, one thing about those battery packs, and I did find this out messing around with another vehicle that I let sit too long that I was helping trying to start. If you've let a battery go all the way to 0 and it is completely dead and needs a full charge, these little jumper packs will not help you. They will not even attempt. If they don't get a signal of some voltage, they will not work. So there has to be some power in that battery for these things to help and give you enough of a boost with what your battery already has. Even though your battery is too low at that point to start the vehicle by itself, they will boost it enough to where you can get the vehicle to turn over and start. But even if you've left a light on, you left your headlights on, something, you've not taken your battery down all the way to 0. Even if you hit the key, you turn the key and it's just sitting there going click, 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 and barely have a couple of dash lights on, you still have power in your battery at that point. You have to leave a car sitting for a really long time for it to go all the way down to 0. So they're just great. I would not even consider going on a trip anymore without having one of these with me. I wouldn't, really. I mean, I've done it. And I regret it because, but, I did it in this one, but I bought one for this one later because, I'm forgetful as trying to swap everything around through 9 different vehicles, but yeah. Viewer question number 3. Okay, we are up to number 4. And number 4 is...
What should you have in a first aid kit? Because, most people want to know you don't leave home without Band-Aids, alcohol, whatever. What's in your first aid kit?
Band-Aids and alcohol.
What else?
And a pack of Rolaids, because those come in handy for bee stings. Matter of fact, I did a whole separate video on that. I would like to, in the long run, I think we ought to talk about what I would like to add to it more than what I have, because what I have is pretty basic. And let me go a step further here. I've been pretty lucky overall with things, but even things are going to happen to you when you are in and out. I did a video in this particular van out by myself one day, jumping in and out of this van, showing how I hooked a shower up. And about my 4th trip in here, I managed to bust my head open on the top of the door. So those Band-Aids and alcohol swipes came in handy as blood was trickling down my face. I did not put that in the video, but it did happen. I ended up with a nice little gash that wasn't very pretty for the next few weeks. So, little things like that are going to happen to you, just like little things are going to happen if you're working and doing things around your house. You are going to get hurt. You are going to have those things happen. I would like to add, and I don't know a lot about this at this point, but I would like to figure out and add something for snake bites, because being in the West where I travel a lot, and this hasn't been an issue yet, but I'm a little bit paranoid of that. And some of you viewers, if you actually live out in the West, I'd kind of like your opinions and ideals and suggestions on how to deal with snake bite stuff. Because here where I'm at, it's not that big. I've known people this has happened to. I've known people this has happened to their pets. that you have a snake bite and you go 10 minutes to the hospital and hey, I got bit. And, they do whatever they do, and hopefully they have the right thing in stock and they shoot you up with it and some Benadryl and you're good. But when you go out into the West, you may be an hour and a half from emergency services. And on top of that, you may be camping somewhere that you're desolate and you're the only one there. You're not going to have any help around. And you may be somewhere that so far back that you don't have a cell signal. So for you guys that live out there and have explored out there a little more, I'd like to know how you handle the potential snake bite issue.
Or scorpions.
Or scorpions.
I mean, some of those are poisonous too.
Some of those are poisonous too.
Gila monsters. We've heard stories about those.
Yes.
Never saw
Gila
any,
monsters.
but...
In the minivan, we've actually had raccoons crawl inside in the middle of the night. And I never made a video on that because, damn it, that was the one time I didn't have cameras up. I didn't have cameras on the outside. And yes, they decided to come right on in with us and search for food.
And they ran off with pancake mix.
And they ran off with a box of pancake mix. And later came back and dragged away a bottle of syrup. So these were really smart raccoons. But unfortunately, no video. And like the old saying, if you don't have pictures, it didn't really happen. So I'll leave it up to you whether you believe that story. Okay, viewer question number is...
I think this is a helpful hint. You take a backpack with you. To me, it's a necessity. You can carry your water, your first aid kit, your snacks, if you're going to be hiking.
Yes, you do need those things.
And you don't want to stick them in your pocket, or you don't have pockets. But to me, you can put everything in a backpack that you need.
Bear spray.
Bear spray.
Depending on the area you're in.
Exactly.
Bail.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to have something on you jiggling so you don't accidentally walk up on a bear and startle it.
Or have a whistle. I would say an air horn. I just don't know how well that would go over with,
Yeah, we don't carry an air horn.
Those little ones, but...
I don't know if the bear can figure out how to blow the whistle or not, so I don't carry one of those. But the bell you do want to have. Just something to tie on you, on your backpack, on your shoelace, something that's jiggling as you're walking, because you don't want to come over a hill or walk around behind a set of trees and encounter a bear and startle it. As long as it can hear you coming, it more than likely will wander away from you.
Another helpful hint, if you go hiking or someplace, stay on the trail. If you're going to go off the trail, make sure you can mark your trail so you can get back so you won't get lost. Have kind of a map with you so you'll know where you started, where you need to go.
This feels like an insult for my sense of direction. That's what it sounds.
No, it's a helpful hint.
Sounds like it's aimed at me and my lack of sense of direction.
He could really use the helpful hint.
So you're going to need a second backpack for maps, markers, stuff to hang on trees, flare guns, and everything else she's going to expect me to need when I stumble off the trail and take a wrong turn and get lost. Seriously, things can happen, and I bike, and I was in South Dakota or somewhere one night, and I misjudged where I was at, and it getting dark, and I think I was 19 miles from camp, and I went through places. There was just a night that there was no moon, and me being stupid enough to be out there and wanting to go further and further and further, and it was so dark, and I ended up under trees, which just murdered the rest of the light, that on a bicycle, I was having to put my feet down and scoot for like a half a mile at a time in the dark areas, just trying to not go over and fall in a ditch or fall off a cliff or whatever where I was at. So you can get into bad situations, and the more stuff you have with you, the better. I did have a little headlight for the bike that night, and I hadn't charged it in a while, so it didn't really last the whole time, and I had some problems getting back to camp. The other thing I did, I was on a bike again, 13, 14 miles from anywhere, and a storm brewed up, and it got bad. And I ended up trapped, couldn't get back to where I was. Trees were falling. So even if it's bright and sunshiny when you leave, going on a bike or going on a walk, and you think you know what the weather is going to be, always remember the weather can change, and make sure you have extra water and some snacks, which I did in that situation. And I was just in a situation where I had to wait this storm out because it was a lightning storm. It was very windy, trees were going down, and there was a metal bridge I had to go over with lightning just bouncing everywhere, and that's why I was trapped. There was no way I was going to go over that bridge and be a human lightning rod. So the Boy Scout motto, always be prepared.
And it would help if you knew which way north, east, west, and south was.
I know which way north, east, west, and south most of the time, if there's sun. But if there's not sun, then yeah. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be bad. On a serious note, the bike in the storm, and she had stayed behind. She was actually on this trip and had stayed behind. So she's in the car watching things blow by and it getting worse and worse and worse. And my phone is trashed because this come out of the middle of nowhere, so I can't call. She can't call me. She has no idea where I am or how far I've gone, and as time goes on, or if I'm dead or not. So she was not real happy when I finally did get back. I think she was kind of disappointed when I come to think of it.
Oh, I was happy to see you, that you were still alive.
But literally, everything that could go wrong went wrong on this. It wasn't supposed to storm like it did. This come out of nowhere. It became very high winds that were hard to ride in. The phone was trashed. Everything was soaked. Trees started falling. You know, the old question about, if no one's around, does a tree make a sound? I found that out because I watched a really large tree just snap and fall and start coming down almost in slow motion on this path, and I'm having to calculate in my head, try to exactly what angle this thing is going to come down so I don't ride into the path of it. And when you're going through an area like that, a wooded area, there is no one around to help you. It is scary when you start hearing things popping and cracking and watching trees come down. I got through that part. I get to the bridge. I can't get across the bridge now because of the lightning, so I'm having to wait it out. There's no shelter anywhere because I'm in Arkansas at this particular place. Can't use the trees for shelter because they're all falling, so I'm just having to be out in the middle of everything. Finally get across that bridge, get back to about a mile of where she actually is and where we were, the vehicle and stuff was parked at. And as I'm riding up, I see another bridge and there's a tree down over top of it. And I'm sitting there looking at this now thinking, if I can't get past this to go this mile, I've got to backtrack and bike like 30 miles back around on a different course, different path to get back over to where we were. So in that situation, I probably would have ditched the bicycle and walked the last mile and hope for the best. But luckily, the way this tree fell, once I got off and looked at it, there was just enough room to me to get by it, get behind it, get back on the bridge and keep going. But being out, whether you're biking, whether you're walking, hiking, whatever. Because a lot of times I think people go out and they're doing this lifestyle, and all of a sudden they're starting to do things and be more physical and be outside more that maybe they didn't do in their previous life. And so always be safe, always carry extra stuff. But again, it's that trade-off. How much do I want to drag with me versus how much do I really need? Okay, that's the 5 that grabbed her attention this time. Down in the comment section, put whatever questions that you have, anything to do with van life, traveling this way in a van or an RV or in your car. Things to have to do with, being in different parks, national parks, state parks, boondocking. Some general stuff on bicycling, hiking, things like that. Put those questions down in the comment section, and we'll try to do another one of these and see if we can get some of those answered for you in detail. I try to reply to everything down in the comment section, but some questions need more than a couple sentence replies. So throw those questions down there and we'll see what we can do for you, and we'll see you next time.